What's good, everybody? It's Big Game James, man. I'm out back in the building, and we're talking the NFC East preview. Gonna do a whole preview of the whole NFL, before the season starts. But we're gonna drop with our division, number one division that we're going with is the NFC East, because obviously that's what the Cowboys playing. And as I said, we're going to talk about the New York Football Giants. So without further ado, let's jump in some things that are going on about these Giants right now. Let's see here. First of all right, first of all, you got to see some of these stats from these Giants. Let's scroll up right here, right quick. Sorry if you see that guy right there. But if you see that right quick, Joe Judge, he has taken over the New York Football Giants. They were 4-13, last place in the division. Ended up with some firings. Jason Garrett, who was the coach of the Cowboys, he was their offensive coordinator. He was fired. Most notably, you've seen their statistics this past season in 2021 right here. The league offense, bottom of the barrel, 31st. League defense, and these are in total yards, things of these nature. If you go right back, then you can kind of scroll and you can see their numbers right here. Mid-level as far as the defense wasn't terrible, but when you don't have an offense that can't really score, then you're going to have those problems in your defense. Your defense is eventually going to give it up, as you can see their stats as you're going down the line. And as you notice, at the beginning of the season, scored a little bit of points, as you can see right here. But toward the end, you can see them kind of tail ending right here, and the points got lower and lower and lower. Obviously, they need to get some consistency at the quarterback position. Daniel Jones, he's been there, since 2019, and he's had an up and down career, we can say, since he's been there. You saw this past season, he started 11 games, injuries once again, 4-7 record. You see the numbers. He's not a terrible quarterback, but once again, do they know if he's the quarterback of the future? I don't know if he's the quarterback of the future. I have my, doubts when he came out. I remember I talked to Anthony Wright from the Dallas Cowboys, former quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. He said, hey, this dude is going to be good. I said, I don't know. We'll see. But, high pick out of Duke, and basically hasn't really measured up to what the draft pick has basically said. So that's one of the reasons why you see the Giants having issues at this point, quarterback influx at the quarterback position. You can also see just some of their stats as you go through there. Saquon Barkley, the Russian, he was their leading rusher. Doubts about him. He was another high draft pick from Gettleman, and we'll talk about how he's gone and what he's kind of his draft history. But only 45 yards a game, starting 13 games. He's supposed to be your franchise back. Now you look like he might be a cap casualty, and they might go back in the draft and get some guys that not spend as much money as you see. Spend a lot of money on running backs. Isn't really big now in these days. Kenny Galladay, somebody that came over from the Detroit Lions, put a lot of money in him. As you see, his numbers weren't the greatest. 76 targets, only 37 catches for 521 yards. Not good. But they got some guys. If we go through their roster, let me pull up their roster. Let me see what they got here. I mean, they got some guys as far as receivers. Darius Slayton, he's not too bad. Sterling Shepard. They brought in John Ross. He's a speed guy. Obviously, they'll see what they have in year 2 in Kenny Galladay. Kadarius Toney, you saw what he was doing to Dallas. this past season, this past year. And, that the arrow's trending up with him. I think he's going to be a good player, good receiver for them. Obviously, they lost a few players, tight ends, most notably, and we'll get in that with my guy Ruben. He's a Giants fan, and he had a good draft pick for the Giants. But I'm just kind of scrolling through here, as you can kind of see their offense. Defense, Tay Crowder, Logan Ryan is no longer with them. Xavier McKinney is a trending up safety. You saw what his numbers did. 5 interceptions, 93 total tackles. I think the arrow's definitely trending up for him. As obviously, I believe Logan Ryan's going to be gone. Tay Crowder was believe a high draft pick this past season. You saw what he did, 130 tackles. So arrow trending up. They re-signed Leonard Williams. You saw what he came back with after the re-signing, 6.5 sacks. Dory Jackson was another guy they brought in through free agency. We'll see what he does with the added speed. 62 tackles, not too bad. Had 1 interception in the game. Reggie Ragland, another linebacker that they had in the fold that they're looking up to him, as far as seeing what he can continue to do. James Bradbury, we can say that he was their best secondary guy, but he could be a salary cap casualty. 4 interceptions. That's why they're talking about possibly Sauce Gardner in the draft. Because of that, Dexter Lawrence is another guy that they brought out of Clemson. 2.5 sacks. I thought he's a good player, but he's got to stay healthy. As you see right there, 16 games. They had 17, but he only played 10. So injury played a big part on some of these guys not really showing what they can do, but not too bad as far as the youth that they have, especially on the offensive end, the offensive receiver. But let's go to what they are kind of. You look at the Giants and what their kind of needs are. So we go right here. They put their top priority. General Manager Joe Shohen has 5 selections in the first 81 picks and can end up solving some of the serious issues Barron left by his predecessor Dave Gettleman. We saw what he did with the draft with them. But offensive tackle, that's a priority for them. They've been having issues with that offensive line. I think that's the biggest issue, in my opinion, that they have is the offensive line. Just going over here to some of their draft picks, I think we pull it up right here. And this is through Gettleman. He tried to build through this offensive line because it's had problems. It's not the line that they've had draft picks on that offensive line that haven't panned out. One of the people we talk right here that let go, Will Hernandez, he was a high draft pick for them. Second round, and he's gone. Lorenzo Carter is another guy who just gone from Gettleman. So when you look at that draft class from Gettleman, these are his draft picks. Not so good in 2018. You go to 2019. Daniel Jones, the jury is still out on him. Dexter Lawrence, I think he's a good player. DeAndre Baker, we saw what happened with him with the little scandal that went on. Hines, we'll see what's going on with him. Do you see Darius Slayton? Julian Love, he got some tick they're still trying to see what they have in him at safety. But if you look at the draft picks from Gettleman, not the greatest in his tenure with the Giants, and I think the Giants would rather agree. Andrew Thomas, I think that's a guy that he's going to be their bookend right now at tackle. This is in 2020, as I said about Xavier McKinney. I think he's trending up. I think that was a good pick right there. Darnay Holmes is another cornerback that I liked in the draft from UCLA. He got a little bit of tick. I think they're still trying to see what they have in him. Tay Crowder was a 7th-round draft pick, and he was their leading tackler, so I know they're pleasantly surprised with that. But once again, they really need to shore up that offensive line if they really want to go somewhere, and that's been their issue with the Giants. And then if you look at last year, we talked about their draft picks. Kadarius Toney, I like that pick. I think he's definitely trending up. I think they got a good receiver for the future in him. Azeez Ojulari, he had 8 sacks, I believe, coming out of Georgia. They need to get another linebacker with him. They got Ragland, but I'm sure they can get them another backer. But I really like that pick, and he's trending up with them. Aaron Robinson is a defensive back that got some good Playtime nine games. We'll see what they have in him, but not too bad. But with those first maybe 3 picks with Gettleman, but he wasn't the greatest drafter with the New York Football Giants. So they would have to say that shoring up that offensive line will be their priority. As I said when we were talking about their needs, I have, you see, offensive tackle, edge rusher. Wink Martindale comes over there from the Carolina Panthers, I believe. If I'm not, I might be wrong. I'm sorry, but Wink Martindale was the guy that everybody was talking about. Or was it Denver? But regardless, y'all know what I'm talking about. He's a guy that has an aggressive type defense, so they may go defense early, but I definitely feel like they need to address that offensive line. They got bookends, and as I said, they got that bookend with Andrew Thomas. In the we look at the free agency as I go through right here, quarterback. They put them as quarterback as another need. We'll see. Daniel Jones, I think they got somebody in Tyron Taylor who's a good backup for them. Tight end is a definite need. And my guy, Ruben, who I just met, we on the Philly podcast, he did a really good job on drafting, and he got a player that I think will be great for them. And they got safety right here as a 5th pick. And you can read through right here what we talked about, Xavier McKinney and things of that nature. Let's see right here. And then we go to the Giants draft order. You see right here, they got 2 first-rounders. We're talking about, do they wheel and deal any of those picks? I don't know. I think they may stand pat at that 5th, but maybe could move down with that 7th pick and gather picks. So they got 2 first-rounders, 1 second-rounder, 2 thirds, 1 fourth, 2 fifths, and 1 sixth. So we'll see what happens with them. And then when we see with that, these are just from Pro Football Focus. Maybe some possible draft picks right here. I'm gonna go. Let's go right here. Do we already see that? Yeah, we already seen that. There we go. So this is from Pro Football Focus. There's many podcasts. There's many things that you can get out there, but I like PFFs. But I hear they can go a couple ways. They have. Also, Neal is another guy that my guy Ruben picked up in the draft. But Ikem Ekwonu from NC State. And as you can see right here, the Giants need offensive line help, and at the start of the draft will be a dream scenario for them as it allows them to have their pick of the group. Ekwonu brings an unparalleled dominant streak to him in his play and will form a natural bookend with Andrew Thomas. The work up front isn't complete, even with the pick, but it's a selection that goes a long way in addressing the Giants' biggest need and problem area, which is offensive line that has been for a while. Now, in saying that, let's scroll down here because they got some offensive linemen in the free agency. As you can see right here, I'm going to let you go through it. As you see, Mark Glowinski is a guard. He agreed to a 3-year deal. He'll likely be projected as one of the starting guards this year. Giants seem to be adding a dependable veteran who has an upgrade from what they had last season with Will Hernandez and Mac Skura. Glowinski hasn't missed a game in 3 seasons, and as you can see, his numbers right there. So he could definitely be an upgrade to what the Giants are needing, and you'll see what's going on with that. And then here you go again, John Feliciano. He agreed to a 1-year deal with the Giants. And it looks like he could be taking over the center, even though he played mostly guard. And you can see where they're trying to build through that little bit of maybe the stop gates. Obviously, the player passed. That's a 3-year deal. Maybe he can be there for a long term. But this could be a kind of bridge guy right here. Who knows what routes they go within the draft, but this looks like it'll be a bridge guy. But they want to still have something to kind of patch up that offensive line. Guard Jamil Douglas, another 1-year deal. Like I said, this is not a guy that's probably going to be a future guy, but this is a guy that's probably going to be a bridge guy as they try to possibly build up that offensive line through this draft, and we'll see what happens right there. And as you see, I've kind of been going through the list of players we talking about needs. And then with the next pick, they came with Devin Lloyd. Now here, I feel like they could go a few ways. Sauce Gardner has really been talked about, especially with James Bradberry possibly maybe be walking with the Giants, with he being a salary cap casualty. So Sauce Gardner is a guy they really are talking about right here. My guy picked him in his draft. We'll go to that momentarily. But they have Devin Lloyd. It can be an option. They also, Jermaine, when they talked about defensive end, that 7th pick, I think that can definitely be a pick, defensive end. A linebacker, I don't know. Devin Lloyd, if they want to go that route, go take him by all means. Take him that high. But offensive line, Neal from Alabama, Aquano, those two guys look like they can definitely be the pick of the Giants because they need to really shore up that offensive line and get that thing going. Then with the 7th pick, they have options. I say they can go defensive end. Trayvon Walker, Jermaine Johnson, like you said, Sauce Gardner. He's been highly talked about, and I could really see them going after Sauce Gardner with that pick. He has everything that they want. He looks like he could be a fit with the New York Giants. So that could definitely happen, but as you see a little bit right there. And then let's go right here. You see Jahad Ward. That was a pickup in free agency. He played with the Dallas Cowboys. Justin Ellis, bridge guy, 1-year deal. As you can see, kind of just going through the names that the Giants brought. Like you said, you got guys right here. Edge rusher. We talked about Trayvon Walker, Kayvon, Thibodeau. Those are guys that could be options with the Giants. But let's go to the draft as I get ready to end this up here. And like I said, this is my guy, special guest, Ruben Cruz. He's going to actually be on my show. He has some really good knowledge about the Giants. I really respected what he had to say. But this was his draft, and I could see the Giants really going this route as far as the drafting. When I'm looking at how he picked, I thought he had a pretty good draft right here. But as you see, we talked about their needs. Evan Neal was a guy he picked. He stayed true. Had some offers for that 7th pick. A lot of offers. Didn't budge. Stayed with, and I think this could be a 1-2 pick. Either Aquano or Gardner. Those could be picks for the Giants. David Ajabu. That was kind of a surprise, but not really. They need an edge guy to play right now. So I would say maybe that was a little surprising because he blew out his Achilles. But you know what? Those Achilles injuries are different, and I feel like he could be a guy that could help them on the edge if that was a pick. This was a really good pick that I thought. This was a kid that I was actually going to take, and he took McBride ahead of me. But you see that have tight end help. They signed Cruz, Ricky Seals-Cruz, we see right here, because they have no tight end right here. I'm sorry, Ricky Seals-Jones right here. They signed him, and he chose the Giants over the Washington football team, Washington Commanders. They cut Kyle Rudolph, as you can see right here. They let Evan Ingram walk, so the cover is very bare. This could be – he's going to probably be likely the starter, but once again, he's probably a bridge guy. They put some money into him, so they'll see what's going on here. But I definitely feel like they're going to draft, and that's where you come in. If a Trey McBride was actually there, which he could be definitely a 67, they pick him. I think that would be a great pick for the Giants because he's a Giant-type guy. I was there at the Senior Bowl. All his people were there at the Senior Bowl. Very good player. Catch the ball, had over 90 catches, 1,000 yards. Is a really good blocker. I think that would be a good pick for them. Jalen Petrie is another player I see they could pick. We talked about Xavier McKinney. That could be a good 1-2 punch with him and Petrie. Both of them got good size, playmaking ability. Tyquan Thornton, I can see them scooping Tyquan. He's a 6'3" guy, speed guy. They need something like that. Pierre Strong, as you can see right there, I think they're going to be in the market of a running back again. I don't feel like Barkley's going to be there too much longer. He got 2 running backs. I don't know if they go that route, but I definitely feel like they will get 1 running back. And as you see right here, Alec Lindstrom, Evan Neal, we don't know if those 2 are the picks, but I definitely feel like they will get at least 2 offensive linemen in the draft. He actually picked up 3 in here. It could happen, too, because of the picks. Tyreek Smith is the edge rusher they got later. I think that was a good pick because, that's good depth, and you can never have too many defensive ends. And they need edge rush help. As you can see, got 2 edge rushers. And then as he ended it with Hassan Haskins, I could see him over Pierre Strong Jr. Because of the size. He's a 6'2", 228-pound workhorse, and they like kind of those big backs in New York. So I thought it was a good draft to how he did it, and I could definitely see how that could happen like that. So just kind of my thoughts on the New York Football Giants. What's my projection for them this year? I still feel like they're not going to come out of – I still feel like they will be last place in the division. No shade on the Giants fans out here, but I feel like they are still going to be in last place. Maybe fighting with the Washington Commanders. I think the Commanders will be a little bit better. I think because they got Carson Wentz. I don't think he's a great quarterback as far as the leadership goes, but he's very serviceable as far as his athletic ability. So I think they'll be fighting right there with those two for the last place. But I will give them more than 4 victories. I'm going to say they get 6 victories this year. So I say 6-11 for the New York Football Giants, but I still feel like they're going to be in last place. And if they have a good draft, I feel like they may contend in maybe a year and put some pressure on the NFC East. But that's just kind of my thoughts on the New York Football Giants and where I feel like they're headed and what I feel like they're going to do. And make sure you check me out the rest of the week as we talk about the Washington Commanders and also the Philadelphia Eagles on my NFC East breakdown from Big Game James and the rest of the league as we move forward.